big or small was the Defiant of Star Trek Deep Space Nine? This is not an easy question to answer, as her dimensions changed with the needs of the story. Ordinarily, we would make a calculation based on the windows, but the Defiant, as we might expect from a warship, had no windows. There were 2 rows of window-like lights under the ship, but these might not have been windows. If they were, the Defiant might have been as much as 185 meters in length, or 606 feet, the equivalent of 2.4 jumbo jets standing nose to tail. What about comparisons with other starships and even a certain space station? The Lakota in Paradise Lost comes to mind, but we must take into account perspective. In the shot, the Defiant was closer to the camera. There is a shot in the episode By Inferno's Light of a runabout, the dimensions of which we can be reasonably certain, under the Defiant, locked in a tractor beam. If the runabout, the Yukon I think, was 23 meters or 75.4 feet in length, then the Defiant would have had to have been something like 160 meters in length, or 524.9 feet. This is the equivalent of slightly more than 2 jumbo jets standing nose to tail. Then again, the Defiant as seen in the film Star Trek First Contact, close to the Enterprise E, seemed remarkably small. Indeed, in comparison, her foredeck height appeared little more than the equivalent of 2 decks, and we might estimate a length of 60 meters or so, and that might be being generous. Nor can we use Deep Space Nine itself as a yardstick, as the station's size was inconsistent when compared to other starships. The MSD seen in Starship Down offered us 4 decks, so this should give us a starting point. The Defiant interiors were small and tight, with a low overhead. This added to the sense of the Defiant's warship nature. She was not designed to be comfortable. She was not a ship for families. The deck height on the Defiant was less than on the Enterprise D, which is believed to be 3.5 meters. So if we ignore the little human figures on the MSD, we can suppose a 3-meter deck height for the smaller ship. This being the case, the Defiant would have been 91.5 meters in length, or 300 feet, or the equivalent of 1.2 jumbo jets placed nose to tail. There were references in dialogue to a 5th deck. Whilst rescuing the Cardassian High Council in The Way of the Warrior, the Defiant came under Klingon attack. Dax reported that the ablative armor had failed and the ship had plasma leaks on decks 2, 3 and 5. In Rejoined, the Defiant was struck by a blast of energy from a collapsing wormhole. Dax, once again, reported that there was a hull breach on deck 5 and emergency force fields were in place. In To the Death, Sisko, this time, directed his turbolift to take him to Deck 5, Section 1. Many of the Deck 5 references were exclusive to the 4th series, but a 5th deck in dialogue, but not on the MSD, creates for us a dilemma. Do we believe what we hear or what we see? We are the audience, and the word audience comes from the same root as audio. In the past, people would go to hear a play rather than to see a play. But television is a visual medium. It is called television, not teleaudio. This being the case, how do we account for the shuttle bay? It appeared late in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, in the episode The Sound of Her Voice, and suggested a much larger Defiant. The shuttlecraft Shafi was seen emerging, suggesting a hatchway of up to 12 meters in diameter and a Defiant with a length of 180 meters, or 590 feet. Oddly enough, this is close to the length we get if those two rows of lights on the underside of the Defiant really were windows. What can we conclude from all of this? Well, different artists and different effects teams brought their skills together to depict a fictional starship. The dimensions of this fictional starship had not been fully established prior to production and post-production. The result was a broken continuity only noticeable by those of us who like to analyze these things. The Defiant was over 90 meters in length, and at times closer to 180 meters. She had 4 decks if you looked, but 5 decks if you listened.